So good morning everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, we will be discussing Indian Express newspaper. We will try to cover important article from today's newspaper and then we will do one or two extra sections like fact of the day and then know our constitution. We will try to cover one particular fact which can be important, which can be useful for your examination, and other than that we will go through our constitution. We have discussed part 5, we were doing part 6, that is state government, and in the part 6 we will be talking about certain last articles which are related to High Court. So since we have already read about Supreme Court, that would be a piece of cake. So let's see. Explanation of the practice question. We'll start with the explanation and then we'll go to fact of the day, then know our constitution. We'll discuss these 3 important articles. Delhi in dilemma. You know that the Delhi's chief minister Arvind Kejriwal will be resigning today to the lieutenant governor. Then he has asked for the early elections and let's see what election commission decide about that. So that is there. After that we'll be talking about smart precision farming. Okay. So we'll be talking about this particular method. We'll be seeing why this is important, what is this method, and why government is talking about it. Okay, so government has come up with a program with respect to this particular, you can say, practice of farming. Okay, moving further, Russian army expansion. Again, after when we are talking about the Ukraine war, okay, when we talk about the February 2022, when this particular war started, Russia-Ukraine war. After that, Russian army has gone for the, you can say, expansion 2 times, okay, and this will be the 3rd time they will be going for the expansion. Okay, so that is why we will be discussing this as well. Here you can see this is the front page. There is nothing much to discuss from the front page today. Here DG YATRA, IT want guardrails, aviation said app will be a new normal. Okay, so basically this is something, there is this app, that is DG YATRA. We will be talking about this article too. Okay, so let's see and start with the practice question which was given to you in the previous lecture. Who headed the high level committee on one nation one poll in India? Okay, options are Narendra Modi, Amit Shah, Ramnath Kovind and Chandrababu Naidu. So when we are talking about this high level committee on the one nation one poll, or you can say simultaneous election, option C would be a right answer, that is former President Ramnath Kovind. Okay, now we can move further and see a fact of the day. Here we are talking about a particular, you can say, initiative, that is PM E-Drive. Okay, so we'll be talking about this. You must have heard about FAME. Okay, FAME India. That was an initiative with respect to the manufacturing of the electrical vehicles in India. Okay, now that FAME will be replaced by the PM E-Drive. Let's see. The Union Cabinet has approved a new scheme that is called PM Electric Drive Revolution in Innovative Vehicle Enhancement, that is PM E-Drive, for the promotion of the electric vehicles in India. You know that we are going for the push to the renewable energy. We are going for the less and less emission because of the vehicles, and this is one of the initiative wherein we are coming up with the electrical vehicles. Okay, so with respect to that, we have come up with the PM E-Drive. The PM E-Drive will replace faster adoption and the manufacturing of electrical vehicles in India phase 2. When we talk about FAME, this is basically your FAME scheme. When we talk about this FAME, that was to go for the manufacturing of the electrical vehicles in India, and then they have gone for the hybrid mode as well. But there were 2 phases. In the one phase, first phase they have focused on the electrical vehicles, and second phase they have gone for the little bit of hybrid vehicles as well. Okay, now it will be administered by the Ministry of Heavy Industry. Now there are chances that you might get confused that this will be, you can say, administered by the you can say Renewable Energy Ministry, but no, it will be, you can say, administered by the heavy industries, because obviously they are going for the manufacturing of the electrical vehicles. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now we can move further and let's see, know our constitution. We were on the part 6, that is the state government. When we talk about the constitution, the initial parts are basically, you can say, very much important. When we talk about the union and territories, when we talk about citizenship, fundamental right, DPSP, fundamental duties, and union government and state government, these are the parts which constitute the most of the administrative structure in our country. Okay, so we have almost discussed that and we are on the 6th one, that is the state governments. Okay, now in the state government we have discussed about the state government, we have talked about the governor, we have seen the difference between governor and the president, and now we will be talking about the High Court over here. We have seen Supreme Court. There was when we talk about article 124, that is related to your Supreme Court. Now here you can say article 214, that is related to high courts for state. So every state will have a high court. There are chances that you can say uh, two or more states will share a particular high court. So all these things are there. So that is given in the article 214 in the constitution. Okay, other than that, when we talk about article 215, that is high court to be court of record. As Supreme Court, High Court will also be a court of record. Okay, its judgment will be binding on other high courts as well. Okay, so let's say when we talk about a particular judgment which has been given by a particular high court, that can be used as a precedent in other high court or the Supreme Court. Okay, and even for the, you can say, subordinate judiciary, these high court judgment will be used as the precedents. Okay, now we can move further, that is article 226, power of high court to issue certain writs. Okay, now here when we talk about article 226, that is talking about the writs. We have seen under article 32, we have seen that there is a power of Supreme Court to issue writs as well. Now here is a one thing which is interesting, that the power of you can say, or the jurisdiction of High Court in the matters of writs is wider than the jurisdiction of Supreme Court, because in case of Supreme Court will go for the 6 writs which is there, which is given in the article 32. These are the constitutional remedies. Okay, but when we talk about High Court can go for more writs. There are various you can say processes wherein in High Court can go for you can say issuing certain writs. Okay, now that is what is called the writ jurisdiction. And when we talk about the writ jurisdiction, so you must have heard about the habeas corpus, you must have heard about the mandamus, certiorari, etc. So these are the writs which are being used by the High Courts and Supreme Court to make sure that government do their job, government body does their job. Okay, so that is there. Now moving further, article 333, that is appointment of the district judges. Now High Court has the role in the appointment of district judge. Okay, second thing is 235, when we talk about subordinate jurisdiction, or subordinate judiciary, that is basically been controlled, or you can say monitored by the High Courts. Okay, so control over the subordinate courts. Subordinate courts are nothing but basically, when we see in India, we have integrated judiciary, we have Supreme Court at the center, then we have High Courts at the states, then we have, you can say, subordinate judiciary, wherein we have civil courts and we have session courts. Okay, for the criminal matters there are session courts, and then we have civil courts for the civil matters. Okay, so this is basically a structure broadly we follow in India. Okay, and there are various different kind of courts which are there, you can say, in the civil and the session. So that is about the High Court. I hope that is clear. There is nothing much to discuss in this, because almost all the provisions related to these things has been discussed during the time of the Supreme Court. Okay, now we can move further and start with the today's discussion, that is Kejriwal wants early elections to Delhi Assembly. What does the law say? Okay, now when we talk about the elections, okay, so election is the prerogative which is to be decided by the Election Commission, because article 324 of the Constitution says that the direction, control and supervision has been given to the Election Commission for any kind of election which are happening in India with respect to the state assemblies, or you can say member of parliaments, or president and vice president. Okay, now when we talk about the you can say third tier governments, or the local urban local governments, you can say elections, there is state election commission, which is altogether a different thing. But right now when we are talking about the Delhi assembly elections, that is the prerogative under the, you can say, Election Commission of India. Okay, now what generally happens if there is a government which is dissolved, or you can say, let's say, chief minister of a particular state has you can say given an advice to the governor to go for the dissolution, and you know that chief minister can do that, and governor has to go for the dissolution. Okay, and after that election commission will go for the re-elections. Okay, so that is one thing. But when we talk about the, you can say, Delhi is not a full-fledged state. Okay, it's a union territory, it's a national capital region, and there is other, you can say, there is a law which is there for Delhi. And in that case, when we talk about the advice given by the CM to the lieutenant governor, okay, when we talk about union territories, we have administrators, and in Delhi we have lieutenant governor. Okay, so he has if he gives the advice to the lieutenant governor with respect to the dissolution of the assembly, now it is the prerogative of the lieutenant governor that if he wants to dissolve it or not. Okay, so that is there. In right now the situation is that here you can say that CM does not have that binding effect. CM's advice does not have that binding effect that it has in the other states. Okay, now in this case, right now when we are talking about the, you can say, Delhi CM, he has came out of the jail, he has got the bail, and then now when we are talking about the resignation, he is saying that he will go for the Agni Pariksha, and he will resign. Today I guess he will be resigning to the Lieutenant Governor, and he has said that he asked for the early election to the Election Commission. And when we are talking about the term will be ending in 2025, but he is going for the early elections. But let's see who will decide on the early elections and will it happen or not. Okay, so let's see. Arvind Kejriwal is likely to submit his resignation as Chief Minister of Delhi to Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, that is Vinay Kumar. Okay, he has said that he will give an Agni Pariksha to prove his innocence in the alleged excise policy corruption case. Okay, so in this case he was inside the jail, but now he has got the bail. Kejriwal has asked for assembly elections to be held in Delhi along with the Maharashtra. A new house must be elected before November 26. Okay, the term of the Delhi assembly ends in the February 2025. Okay, so basically he is saying that from 2020 there is a little bit of time which is there, so he has said that we have to go for the early elections. Okay, now we can consider it as a political move or otherwise also, but we will not go into all those details. But right now when we are talking about who decides when the assembly election will be held, okay, now that is a simple answer, because Article 324 of the Constitution says that the power of superintendent, election and control of the elections are vesting with the Election Commission of India. Okay, but here there is this Representation of People's Act, which is saying that section 15 clause 2 of the Representation of People Act 1951 says that the election cannot be notified less than 6 months before the term of the assembly, unless assembly is dissolved before the complete term. Okay, now in this case when we are talking about Delhi's case, okay, this particular direction which is given under section 15 clause 2, it is clear that you cannot go for the, you can say, announcement of the elections 6 months before the, you can say, tenure is over. Okay, so tenure is getting over in February 2025, so that is you cannot go for the announcement of election before 6 months. Okay, second thing is, here they have said that this can happen, you can go for such elections only if there is a, you can say, dissolvement of the, you can say, assembly. Okay, so let's consider if in this case, if Lieutenant Governor is going for the dissolving the, you can say, state assembly of the Delhi, in that case only they can go for the elections, early elections. But the thing is, that is not the prerogative of CM, and even if CM is going for the advice to dissolve the assembly, but that is totally with the power is with the Lieutenant Governor over here. Okay, so election will happen only if the assembly is dissolved. Okay, now can a chief minister force ECI to hold election before it is due? So Article 174 clause 2 subclause B of the Constitution says that the governor may from time to time dissolve the legislative assembly. The council of ministers can recommend the dissolution of the house to the governor before its end of the term, forcing a decision. Okay, so when we are talking about the governor, we know that when a council of minister is advising to the governor, then governor has this you can say, he has to do it because that advice is binding. But when we are talking about this particular thing over here, is that in the states, when chief minister says that you have to go for the dissolving the assembly, then governor has to do it, that is forcing the decision on the governor. But here when we are talking about the you can say Delhi, the rules are little bit tweaked over here. Once the assembly has been dissolved, the ECI has to conduct fresh election within 6 months. Now once election assembly is dissolved, then only you can say ECI will go for the fresh elections within 6 months. Okay, now when we are talking about the case of Delhi, as I told you, that is a different case over here. When we talk about Delhi, Delhi's, you can say, follow a different set of rules. There is this Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi 1991 Act, which is there. Now this particular act has a section 6 which says that the Lieutenant Governor may from time to time dissolve the assembly. Even if the Chief Minister of Delhi recommends the dissolution of the assembly, the final say is with the centre. Okay, so again here they are saying that even if CM is you can say advising you to go for dissolution of the assembly, then also the final say is with the centre. That means that Lieutenant Governor. Okay, because we know that Lieutenant Governor is basically a representative of the centre. Okay, now Kejriwal has only said he will resign as CM and ask for early elections. He does not appear to be planning for recommending the dissolution of the assembly, because if you can say he advise and Lieutenant Governor rejects, okay, then there will be assembly. Now here you can say his successor in the post could be announced after a meeting of AAP, MLAs, etc. So basically there are chances that after his resignation, his successor will be announced and he will be handling the governor, or there will be a caretaker governor, okay, government. Now planning, the schedule is based on various factors. When we talk about the schedule of election, how it will be planned, so there are various factors. Okay, these are general factors like weather, availability of the security forces, you can say feasibility, training of the officers, procurement of EVMs, all these things are there. Other than that, right now there are elections which are going on in the, you can say, Jammu and Kashmir. You know that the first phase election has started. Second thing is, after that there will be election in Haryana, and then Maharashtra, Jharkhand, they are also going for the elections. So whether election commission will go for announcement of election or not, that is for us to see later. Okay, so that is about the Delhi's story right now. So what will happen, let's see what future holds for them. Now we can move further to the next article. Now Congress to chair 3 Lok Sabha standing committees and 1 in Rajya Sabha. Okay. Now when we talk about these standing committees, these are basically departmental committees which are taking care of the business of the, you can say, house, wherein there are, when we talk about, let's say there is a committee on, you can say, with respect to the Department of Education. Okay, so if there is any kind of grant which has been asked, or any kind of money which has been asked by the department, that particular grant will be scrutinized by this particular standing committee, and they will give the recommendation to the Parliament. Other than that, also if there is some kind of act which is with respect to that particular sector or the, you can say, area, then they will scrutinize the act as well, and then recommendation will be sent to the Parliament. Now these recommendations are not binding in nature, but still they have a high weightage, because obviously these people are Parliament. These people are from the Parliament only, and they have, expertise in that particular area, so it has a particular weightage. Okay. Now news is that the Congress is learned to have secured a chair for 4 parliamentary standing committees, 3 in Lok Sabha and 1 in Rajya Sabha. Congress will chair the standing committee on external affairs, agriculture, rural development in Lok Sabha, and in Rajya Sabha it will be, chairing committee on the education. Okay. So now you can say that that kind of representation Congress will have in these particular committees. Okay. Now the decision follows the several round of meeting between the government and the opposition. So this decision of chairing this particular committees, that has came after the meetings between the government and the opposition. Here you can say departmental related standing committee is to consider the demand for the grant of ministry, department, and examine the related bills. Okay. Now the reports are not binding on the government, they carry significant weight. In the past, committee suggestion has been incorporated in the bills. Okay, so that is why what committee decides is kind of significant, because it has a weight, it has a sway on the way, you can say, the bill will go ahead. Okay, so that is about the news. Now let's see how many type of parliamentary committees we have. Here you can see, in the, when we are talking about the parliamentary committees, we have you can say 2 kind of committees. One is standing committees and second is ad hoc committees. Now when we talk about the standing committees, there are different types, that is, you can say, financial standing committees, and then we have department related standing committees. So when we talk about the department related, you can say, standing committees, there are various, so agriculture, defense, energy, education, etc., etc. There are nearly 24, I guess. Okay, if I'm wrong, you can correct me in the comment box. But when we are talking about the financial you can say, standing committees, these are the public account committee, estimate committee, and public undertaking committee. Here you can say that these are something, they basically go for the scrutiny. Okay, since these are financial committees, these are mostly for the scrutiny, or you can say the way finances are being taken care of. Okay. So this is about the standing committees. When we talk about the parliamentary committees, you can expect a question from this particular area, because they has this tendency to ask these questions. Okay. So, and when we talk about the ad hoc committees, so obviously these are temporary committees which are made for a particular purpose, and then they will be dissolved. Okay, after the purpose is being served. Joint committees are there and select committees are there. Okay. So now we can move further to the next article, that is talking about the smart precision horticulture program. Okay. Government plans rupees 6,000 crore scheme to boost precision farming, likely to cover 15,000 acres in 5 years, benefits 60,000 farmers. Okay, most of the thing they have actually given in the heading itself. Now we will be seeing what is precision farming. Precision means that to target something with a very high accuracy. Okay, so here when we are talking about the precision horticulture or precision farming, that means that we are targeting the agriculture or that particular sector in a way that there are very few losses and high productivity is attained. Okay. Now when we are talking about agriculture, how will you attain high productivity? Okay, so that means that you are going for the optimum use of the resources. You are using water in the right amount, you are using the fertilizer in the right amount, and you are making sure that irrigation is at the right time, you are making sure that the quality of soil is good, and after that you can use any kind of technology which are there, you can go for the harvesting machinery, etc. And after that you realize that whatever you could do in that particular area so that the production increases, and that is basically your precision farming. That is nothing you can say space science, but the thing is it is a very simple idea, and government is pushing for it, because so that we can go for the optimum use of the resources and get the high quality products. Okay, so here you can say the center is contemplating an contemplating to earmark 6,000 crore to promote precision farming, a modern approach that uses smart technologies as Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, drone, data analytics to boost the production through the maximum use of the resources while minimizing the environmental impacts. Okay, so this is the definition which they have given over here. Now, why government is spending? The reason is they are trying to incorporate the new cutting edge technology in the agriculture so that we can go for the maximum use of the resources. Okay, so here you can say they are saying that we will be using Internet of Things, we will be using artificial intelligence, drones, data analytics, etc. to boost the production. Okay, so that is there. Now, smart precision horticulture program under the mission for integrated development of the horticulture scheme. Okay, we already have a running mission, that is integrated mission for integrated development of the horticulture. Okay, now horticulture, you know that is when we are talking about the cultivation of fruits, vegetables, etc. So this is coming under the horticulture. Okay, now they will be covering 15,000 acres of the lands in 5 years from 2024-25 to 28-29, and it is expected to benefit about 60,000 farmers. At present, the agriculture infrastructure fund, we have a agriculture infrastructure fund which is basically, you can say driving, or you can say fulfilling the financial needs over here. So at present, the agriculture infrastructure fund launched during the COVID-19 has provided for the financing infrastructure project for the smart and the precision agriculture. As of now, under the AIF, individual farmers as well as the farmers communities such as you can say FPOs are there, farmer producer organizations which are there. We have primary agriculture credit societies. Other than that, we have self-help group. These are the, you can say, farmers communities. Okay, so we are targeting farmers plus these communities, and we are giving them some kind of incentives. We are giving them the, you can say, interest subventions which are giving, let's say there is a loan which we will be giving at a, you can say, lesser rates. Here you can see they are giving you a interest subvention of 3% for using the technology solution. Okay, so that is there, which for that the fund is utilized, that is AIF. Okay, now farm and harvest automation, purchase of the drone, putting up specialized sensors on the field, use of blockchain and AI in the agriculture, remote sensing and the Internet of Things. These are certain areas there these practices are used. If you are using such practices, you will be getting an interest subvention of 3%. Okay, now center is also considering collaborating with the Netherlands and Israel, where tech-based modern farming is a solution which are being used through the Center of Excellence. Okay, so now here you can say these two names, that is Netherlands and Israel. These are the, you can say, countries which are doing good in the agriculture. When we talk about Israel, you know that Israel is situated at a place wherein not much of the soil is very fertile. Okay, so they are going for the various other techniques for the production of the food. Okay, so such things can be incorporated in India as well, and that is why that we are going for the collaboration with the Netherlands and Israel. If at all someone asks you about a question with respect to the agriculture and kind of practices we should follow, or any kind of problems and the solution with respect to that, it will be imperative for you to use the you can say Israel as well as the Netherlands, so that you can get some extra marks out of that. Okay, anyways, so this is about your, you can say, precision farming and whatever government is trying to do about it. As I told you, 60,000 farmers will be beneficiary of this, and 15,000 acres of land which will be covered in the next 5 years. And here you can say smart and precision agriculture maximize the use of the resources like water, fertilizer, pesticides to increase the productivity, quantity as well as the quality. Okay, here you can say all while insulating farmers from the worries of the climate change and other uncertainties, beside the ensuring stable sustainable farming. Okay, so basically they are adding the factor of this climate change. When we talk about the climate change, we have to go for the two, there are two strategies. One is mitigation, second is adaptation. Okay, so considering the, you can say this particular, you can say precision farming, you can say this is kind of an adaptation technology, wherein we have to make sure that we produce in such a way that there is a less impact of the climate change on the production. Okay, so that is there. Now we can move further with the next article, that is talking about DG YATRA, IT wants guardrails, aviation said the app will be the new normal. Now when we are talking about this particular app, that is an app which is used for the, when you go to airport, you know that there is the, when you can say arrive at the airport, at the arrival there will be an police officer, he will be actually checking your IDs, then you will be going inside for the check-in, then there will be security, and then there will be boarding. All these are the points where you have to show your IDs, etc. Now idea behind DG YATRA is that you have to go for paperless, you can say, procedure over here. So everything will be there on the app, your boarding, your security check, everything will be there on the app, and that app will be the, you can say, from the start till end you will be using that particular app. There will be no paper or the boarding pass, etc. You won't be needing anything, that will be generated through the app. Okay. Now there are certain concerns when you are saying that all these things will happen using the app, then obviously there are certain biometrics which are also involved, because when you are entering into that particular, let's say you are entering through the airport. Okay, now there is this facial recognition machine which is there, which is recognizing your face, and they knows that some man with this name and this face is there. For that you should have a record of my face already which is present there. Okay, so that is why we are saying that there can be certain privacy related concern which can also be there. Okay, now here you can say there is a potential for abuse of facial recognition technology such as DG YATRA by the private entities, and more guardrails are needed to prevent the misuse of the biometric data. App may soon become the de facto gateway for checking in and boarding at all the airports. Okay, since we are making it a new normal, so obviously before going to do that, before going for this particular initiative, we have to make sure there are, you can say, regulation with respect to the personal data protection. Okay, now let's see what is being talked about and what are the concern. Everything will be trying to. When we are talking about this DG YATRA project, here you can say it is a project conceived to achieve contactless, seamless processing of the passenger at the airports based on the facial recognition technologies. Okay, so they will be using this facial recognition technology. The project envisages that any traveler may pass through the various checkpoints at the airport through paperless and the contactless processing using the facial features to establish the identity which would be in to the boarding pass. So basically your facial features will be serving as the identity over here. So there are sensors which will be there which will recognize you through the facial sensors. Okay, now here you can say it provides a decentralized mobile wallet based identity mechanism, or you can say management platform, which is a cost effective and address privacy protection issues in the implementation of the DG YATRA. Now problem here is that we are talking about the privacy and the protection of the data. Now let's say these most of the airports, you know that they are operated by the private entities. There are private jets which are serving for the, you can say, commercial flights. If you talk about, most of them are private. Okay, in that case, if you have such kind of data with the private company, private companies can go for capitalization of that data. You can say that they can go for the misuse of data. Okay, now again talking about the misuse over here is that if you are using it for a particular or legal purpose also, in that case, but the problem is that if you have, you can say, collected the data for one purpose and then you are using it for other purpose, that is also a misuse. Okay, so considering that, here we have these concerns with respect to the use of the data. Now talking about the DG YATRA Foundation, here you can say that it has been set up as a joint venture company in 2019 under section 8 of the Companies Act. Okay, so then this foundation was formed with an objective of creating a DG YATRA central ecosystem. It will be a pan-India entity and the custodian of the passenger ID validation processes. Okay, so basically this is for the you can say only for the purpose of the travel. Okay, then it will also develop consensus among the aviation stakeholders in India. It would also define the criteria for the compliance and the guidelines for the local airport systems. Okay, so this was the idea behind the DG YATRA Foundation. Now talking about the concerns, what are the potential use of you can say abuse which can be there. So you can say METI, or Ministry of Electronics and IT, called for specific regulations to prevent misuse of biometric data by private entities and non-state organizations. why it can happen, I have already discussed. Now, the Ministry of Civil Aviation suggested the Digi Yatra might become the standard for check-in and boarding at all the airports, potentially making it less voluntary. Earlier it was said that this particular Digi Yatra app will be voluntary. Now the thing is, they are saying that we are making sure that everything happens through this particular app. That means that you are making it less voluntary and more you can say mandatory. Okay, so that is there. Moving further, privacy, security and the legal gaps. Ministry of Home Affairs recommended using the facial recognition technology in conjunction with the other biometrics like fingerprints, iris scan to address the privacy and the accuracy concerns. They have said that you can go in place of the, you can say, facial recognition, you can also go for the fingerprints, iris scan, etc. Okay, warned that deploying facial recognition technology in the law enforcement without clear regulation might violate constitutional rights under Article 21, that is basically your right to life and personal liberty, and you know that this includes your right to privacy as well. Okay, so I hope you understand why it is impacting the Article 21. Now, criticize the lack of legal framework and guidelines governing the facial recognition technology, especially in the law enforcement. Okay. Now, other than that, also they are concerned about that law enforcement agency might actually go for the, you can say, use of such data. Okay. So that can be an, you must have heard about the surveillance state. Okay. So no, those people who are kind of liberal, they are not in favor of surveillance state. Okay. State should not be given that wide power. Okay. So that is there, and that is why our constitution says that Article 21 is there, right to privacy is there, so that state can be checked. Okay. Now, Putin orders Russian army to become second largest after China's 1.5 million strong. Okay. Now, here we are saying that after the you can say Russia-Ukraine war started, this is the third time they are going for the expansion. The President Vladimir Putin on Monday ordered the regular size of the Russian army to be increased by 1,80,000 troops to 1.5 million active servicemen in the move to that would make it world's second largest, you can say, army. Okay, after China. Now, you know that when we talk about the armies, India is also having the third largest. Okay, so that is one fact which you should remember. Now, we can move further. The overall size of the armed forces to be increased to 2.38 million people, and which out of which 1.5 would be the active servicemen. Okay, when we talk about the, you can say, army size, so there are, you can say, certain people who are there in the combat role, there are people who are in the non-combat roles as well. Okay, so now they are saying that there should be 1.5 million should be active servicemen. Now, here you can say International Institute of Strategic Studies, they have actually come up with this report. Here you can see leading military think tanks, such an increase would see Russia leapfrog from the USA and India. As I told you that China is having the maximum one, then USA, then India, and then we have Russia. So they are trying to coming at the second position. Okay, so they will surpass the India and USA. It is the third time that Putin has expanded the army's ranks since invasion of Ukraine 2022. Although Russia has a population more than 3 times larger than Ukraine, it has been sustaining heavy battlefield losses. Okay, so recently you know that there was this invasion in the Kursk region. Okay, so despite having a, you can say, 3 times larger population and too vast an area, Russia is still facing certain problems in the battlefield. Okay. Now, Iran lists India as a place where Muslims suffer. Delhi says unacceptable. So basically, the supreme leader of Iran, okay, Mr. Khamenei, has actually said that recently he has made a comment wherein he has said that you can say a minority over here is not very safe. Okay. On that particular comment, our government has or the ministry has replied that this is vague comment and that is not acceptable over here. And before making such comments, you have to actually look into yourself. Okay, what are the condition of women in your own country? What are the condition of the minorities in your own country? So that is what has been said, and this is not the first time he has made such comment. Okay, when we talk about 2008-9, when the fate of their you can say civil nuclear deal was not very fine, in that case also they have actually gone for making such comment. They have commented on the Kashmir various times. Okay, so they have commented on the Kashmir various times, they have commented on the minorities various times. Here you can say, although this is not the first time Iran spiritual leader has named India as the place where Muslims are suffering, it is unclear what has provoked this particular comment from him in March 2020 after the Northeast Delhi riots. You know that you can say after the CAA etc. So there was this riots in Delhi, and at that point of time also he has said something like that. When we talk about the August 2019, you know that the you can say 370 has been revoked. So at that point of time also he has made certain comments like that. In 2002 Gujarat riots, he has made certain comments. In 1992 Babri Masjid, he has made certain comments. So this is not the first time, okay. But when we talk about India and Iran relations, they are not very hostile relations. So I don't know what has provoked him to make such comment this time, okay. Now moving further, for your own read, there is this article, antibiotics overuse led to 33% of the sepsis death in India. That is what study is saying. Why I have taken this particular thing, because we have already discussed about the antimicrobial resistance, okay. When we talk about antimicrobial resistance, we have seen that what antibiotic overuse can do to our body, to the viruses, etc. Okay, so considering that, you can read this particular article. With that, today's discussion is over. The last part is basically your practice question. Which article of the Indian Constitution provides for the establishment of the Election Commission? Article 324, 325, 326, 327. So you can attempt this question, answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. If you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe it. Have a nice day. Thank you.